Anyway, welcome back, Evan. So, quick recap. During their travels, the long-tooth shifter shaman, Karus Moonspeaker, that is you, and his orphan ward, Damien, wandered into the spirit realm of Vanderkelt Forest. Unfortunately, this brought them face to face with a malevolent specter that would be later named the Dream Eater. This sadistic spirit was conjured forth by a vengeful band of Sverdnebli, or deep gnomes, and seeks to destroy the town of Juvelin by robbing them of their most precious resource, their children.
Oh dear.
Karus narrowly avoided losing his apprentice to the Dream Eater's grasp, but instead relinquished the control of his spirit companion, Kaiba the Wolf, instead. Forcefully... Sorry about that.
In case you guys don't know how I feel about this at home.
All right.
Sighs exasperately. Okay, go.
Okay,
Sorry.
so how long was that? Like 3-4 years with Kaiba as your faithful companion? First time being parted?
Yes. Yes. In real life, like 3-4 years, and then like in game, like 5 or 6 at least.
All right. Forcefully ejected from the dreamscape, Karus was then confronted by a wrathful and martially talented knight named Xander Manolis, who labeled them as trespassers and conspirators. Thankfully, the bloody but brief battle was interrupted by the kind-hearted Lady Calavas, a cleric of Sehenin. She quelled the bitter hearts of the antagonistic squad and welcomed Karus and Damien into the city. Inside, Karus was confronted with a horrific realization. Damien was not the first victim of this new devilry. A curse had been placed upon the peoples of Carofel Plateau and brought forth a vicious and hungry spirit that seeks to claim their futures. A ticking clock has now been set into motion, and if Karus cannot quell their rage and bloodlust, Damien is surely doomed, and Kaiba will be lost forever. You sleep in dreamless slumber, thanks to Lady Calavas' spell, and you are back in the town of Juvelin. You have been granted a room at the inn, and you were tasked with, in the morning, following an exposition to Felgor Mountain, where the source of these disturbances began.
Okay.
So Damien wakes up beside you, and he just rubs his eyes.
Did you sleep all right?
Yeah, I don't remember anything, though. It seems like the spell worked. Yeah. He's been an orphan his whole life, but because he grew up in the streets of Kravmore, but now he is your ward. He had some spiritual awakening after meeting you, but he still is not able to conjure a long-term spirit companion yet.
No worries.
And,
perhaps the way of the shaman is not his calling. But I hope that we might be able to find out what that may be. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't find it anytime soon. As part of my pilgrimage, as part of this pilgrimage, it's supposed to be a way of spiritual enlightenment for him and myself. So, we actually, as part of my old tribe, didn't bother to bring the initiates out to find their spiritual destiny until they reached puberty. Anyway, that was like kind of their ascension into adulthood, and he's not even there yet. So not a good trip. So.
No, I understand, but that was the old days when, no offense, but when your tribe was still intact. The times have changed.
Friend of the heart, David. Friend of the heart.
You wrote that backstory, not me.
I'm just saying. I did what I could, and call me a traditionalist, but he hasn't had a lot of other experience culturally outside of his own, except for people who have been trying to kill him consistently the last few years. So hard to find good family nowadays.
Anyway, so you were instructed to meet in front of the Houses of Healing, where you saw the children who have been inflicted with the Dream Eater curse. There you would rendezvous with Lady Calavas as well as Xander Manolis. So whenever you want to head out, you may. Or what would you like to do?
I rise from the bed, and I pat down my fur. It's somewhat matted. I turn to my ward, and I tell him, I say, get ready. We're to meet Lady Calavas in front of the healing house. I don't want to waste her time.
Of course, he says. He quickly breaks his fast and packs his belongings as well as yours and hands them to you.
Okay, great. I grab it and throw a bun in my mouth, and we head out.
All right. So you head to the Houses of Healing, as you were where you were last the day previous. You had endeared yourself to Lady Calavas by helping one of the inflicted children and preventing the curse from fully taking effect. They are told that you have not seen what the effects of the full curse are, but you've been told it is horrendous. You and Damien walk over to the House of Healing, and lo and behold, you see Lady Calavas and Jorg. They seem to be speaking amongst one another, and if you recall, Xander is one of the knights, one of the more prolific knights, and his father is actually the captain, though, a man named Sir Jorg. But he's actually not here, so I'm going to move him out of the way.
Okay. Bye, Jorg. He just flies, he just leaps up over the roofs and just books it. All right. Very agile for an old man.
My people need me. Okay, so Xander and Lady Calavas, whatever they are speaking of, they stop as soon as they sense your presence, and they turn to you. Xander kind of continues to be his surly self, leans against the wall with great spears kind of propped up against the ground, and Lady Calavas greets you. She said, I hope you slept well last night?
It was forgetful.
That's the best we can hope for these days, she says. So she beckons to you. She turns to Damien and seems concerned. Is he coming with you?
Indeed. He stays by my side wherever we go.
It is a very perilous journey you're about to take. Damien kind of interjects. He says, it's like, I'll have you know, I was there at the Battle of Cravmore. You remember that he was, well, unconscious during most of the battle because he was in the hospital, but technically he is right. He's just leaving that part out of the story. It's like, I've seen my fair share of battles, he says.
Because if, like, it's really, really bad, if it's, like, way beyond his level to be able to handle, then I think it would be best for him to stay behind.
She tells you that she will be staying behind, though, because the Houses of Healing must be attended to. So I don't doubt your experience with spirits. That is your domain, not mine, and you seem like you can handle yourself in combat, but I'll be sending... Xander's going to be going with you. He gestures to the knight who still hasn't addressed you, by the way. He just kind of like, whatever, he's here. Xander will join you, and please pardon his attitude. He is a reliable fighter.
I'm sure he's rather skilled. We've already crossed spears in combat. I turn over to Damien, and I look over to him, and with a solemn, grim expression on my face, I say to him, I think it best if you stay behind on this one, child. It appears that the spirits we may be facing could risk a similar fate than what you had narrowly escaped in the past, and I wish that not for you once more.
Damien seems somewhat hurt. He says, but I thought that I'm following you so I could learn more about this. What more could I learn staying behind?
You can stay here with Lady Calavas and aid her in her healing. I know you need more practice with your healing capabilities as well. The other children will need tending to. So do not think that just because I'm leaving you behind, you are wasting your time. I expect you to be practicing, to be aiding the others, as you should be. When I come back, I will see just how grave the situation is, but I don't want to scout out a situation, have it be worse than it did be, and risk getting you hurt once more.
Diplomacy.
My diplomacy is not good. It is not good. All right, Dice, don't let me down here, man. I don't want to get my kid hurt. 24! Yeah!
All right, so he seems agitated, but slumps over in defeat. He will accept your command. He says, yes, sir, kind of hanging his head in shame. He seems kind of, what's it called, a little regretful, like as if he maybe thinks that you think of him as a burden, but he moves over to, yeah. I place a reassuring hand on his shoulder and give it a firm squeeze, and I look at him, and I says, Damien, look at my eyes. And I tell him, I am needed elsewhere, but you are needed here. There are people here who need you. Don't let them down. I won't. He nods and walks over to Lady Calavas. I'll take good care of him, she says reassuringly.
That's my boy.
And she kind of points over to, she kind of shrugs over to Xander and says, take care of him too if you can.
She says that to me?
Yeah.
Okay, I look over at Xander. Did he pick up on that?
Yeah, he kind of makes eye contact with you. He hasn't even taken off his helmet yet. You can still see his eyes past the narrow slit of his helmet, and he's just kind of sneering at you.
Assuming he can't fend for himself, and I give him a toothy smirk.
Like, we're burning.
I do it like boisterously, like kind of like a, you know. I'm trying to break the ice here.
No, I got you. He what was it? Scoffs like. And he just walks away.
So Desu, so enemy, so edgy.
We're burning daylight. Let's go to let us go. Damien and Lady Calavas will stay behind. He will attempt to learn what he can in regards to healing from her. Meanwhile, you, Spirit Shaman, will be accompanied by the Spear Fighter Xander towards Felgor Mountain. Juvalin is a city carved into the side of the mountain, similar to kind of like a bigger Helm's Deep in a way.
Right.
So its back is to the mountain itself.
Okay.
So
are we going inside the mountain or around?
Going up it, and there's supposedly some tunnels inside it. So we're trying to figure out. That's basically where the source of the spirit infestation began. It's a good place to start looking.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Let's do it.
All right, so you travel upon the main road. Oh, sorry, the road that leads upward and towards the mountains. Xander does not say a word to you, and he stays 10 feet in front of you at all times. You can hear the rhythmic clacking of his metal boots as he walks solemnly and wordlessly. What do you do?
Karus is also actually rather stoic, so he is okay with traveling without speaking. How long do we travel for?
Oh, you just travel for an hour or so before you actually arrive at Felgor. To your back, you can see the city sprawling before you. There is now a stony path that leads upwards into the mountains. It is early morning. Well, I'd say like mid-morning, around like 9 to 10-ish. But up here, it already seems darker. There's like this dark shroud over the surrounding area.
Magic. Do I sense any sort of magical aura in the nearby area? Just like coming from the area. Okay, my Arcana is not terrible.
Oh, okay. So, you close your eyes and you kind of attempt to read the ether. And in so doing, you snag your tattered robe and just face plant down. Xander turns around and kind of lets out a little chuckle. He walks over to you, and now he's standing beside you. Need a hand?
I stand, so I look over and I after I took the ground, I see this stone with a very serious look. It is not magical.
Glad you figured that out for yourself.
It's very hard. I would watch your step if I were you.
Certainly. So he leads you up the mountain pass. It's almost like you can hear, it feels, although you see no other souls around you, aside from Xander, it feels like there are eyes staring at you, and you find yourself turning your head towards these feelings, these kind of tiny needles in the back of your neck, and seeing nothingness. Whispers in the dark echo throughout the earthen corridors, and eventually you arrive at an entrance. There you see a familiar face. So there's a group of 5 right now at the top of the mountain, at the entrance to the caverns. They seem to be clearing the wreckage. There's there looks like a cave-in, and several large rocks are barring entrance. They're kind of creating an assembly line and clearing the area, allowing passage. The one leading the 4 foot soldiers, who is dressed differently from them, he has a kettle helm and a mustache. You recognize him from the night prior. He is the one who, in a panic, gave Damien a crossbow bolt to the stomach. So you kind of that's just you still don't know his name, but he was one of the people he's the guy who shot Damien.
Let bygones be bygones. But if a bolt finds its way to his stomach, I will feel that karma and the nature has found true balance.
Xander walks over to him and he says, "You did a good job, Burlo. I'd like you to be by my side." And he turns to the other four. They have been doing their work, keeping their heads down. One of them kind of like spies a look at you and then immediately whips away. They look kind of scared and want to keep their eyes down, just don't want to look around. And they seem like more like fresher recruits, probably in their late teens. And Xander tells them, "All right, you four, head back to the town. Don't delay. Don't take any shortcuts. Don't take your time here. Just head back to the town. We'll take it from here." And
honestly, I'm actually glad that Damien's not with us because I feel like I really don't want to have to try and protect him, since he's not nearly as good at like holding his own, considering the creatures that we're probably going to be fighting. So, no offense, Damien. I love you to death, kiddo, but please don't die.
All right. So Burlo is holding a lamp, and Xander is also holding a lamp, along with his great. He's basically using Great Spear as a walking stick for the time being.
Okay.
And the three of you descend into Felgar Mountain. So.
Okay. Is this completely pitch black?
Yeah. As soon as you
just low light vision?
once you descend deep enough, it is the inside of a cave, and it is very dark.
Alrighty. I will prepare myself for whatever may be, but I wish to have Burlo, this individual, carry a lamp standing behind me.
All right, he'll keep the light to
And
you.
I want Xander to take up the rear just in case we get ambushed.
All right, fair enough. So, go ahead and move your speed, and you may do as you please.
3, 4, 5, 6. I'm actually going to move a little bit farther in here, just so I can see around the corner of this stone, and then I will do a perception check on the inside facing this way.
All right.
40.
You're walking down the tunnel. You look at the sides, and you see kind of ridges all along the circumference of the cave. They look like, and you kind of put a hand to the walls, and it looks like claws, like this was dug out. This cave. You approach a running river, an underground river that is steadily moving water downhill. You can kind of feel it going down the incline, and the water is cold, frigid to the touch. As you passed by, you notice that some of the walls have holes in them. You passed by two, and they look like smaller tunnels that have been created divergent of the main tunnel.
With my perception check, am I able to determine if anything has been through here recently besides ourselves?
No, it looks like the ground has not been disturbed. You're leaving 3 sets of footprints, and there are no footprints further ahead.
Okay, then I want to keep moving forward.
All right, go ahead, move your speed, and they'll follow you.
I'll move here.
All right, Burlo follows alongside you. As he's holding the lamp, he's keeping his hand at his sword by his side, and you notice that as you're walking, you can hear kind of rattling. His hand is like slightly trembling, and he kind of just breathes slowly.
All right, so clearly he's nervous. I will take that into account.
You enter a large earthen chamber that widens in all directions. The ceiling juts up to at least 30 feet upwards, and it glistens with smooth carved rock. Again, you can see the remnant claw marks dotting all along various parts of the walls. The most notable thing you see here, though, is a large crackling in the ground. It looks like some sort of broken earth, and it looks precarious to step upon. Do a Arcana check, sense into the spiritual ether once more.
Not too shabby, just don't quit fail this one. 27.
27. All right. So you kind of enter your mind's eye once again, attempting to...
Mind's eye or whatever.
Yeah. Attempting to suss out where the enigmatic spirits are waiting for you, and you can hear crawling, like the sound of earth moving underneath your feet. It feels like the ground beneath you is moving, filled with like small little lumps beneath your feet, and they quickly dissipate as they move away from you in all directions. It's like as if something's tunneling all around you. Yeah.
Is this a this I picked up this from my Arcana check, not from like a perception check, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that must mean that whatever is tunneling beneath me is from the ether, or maybe the Emerald Dream or the spirit realm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I call out to my allies. I say, brace yourselves. Whatever lies in this room and beyond are of the spiritual kind.
Xander turns to Burlo. Like, calm down. We're gonna be okay. If you please.
Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call out to Burlo, and it says, and I point over to the body over here, and I say, Burlo, investigate that. I see something over there, and tell me what it is. I'm gonna tell Xander to move not farther south, maybe like move closer to the crag, but not too close to it, and just kind of peer down to see what he sees down in this general area over here with the lamp, just so we can get a better idea of the room. I am going to examine the crack itself a little bit more closely because I can feel the creatures underneath us. I want to see if I can peer into the crack to see if I can sense anything, any sort of malevolence or any kind of evil energy that may or may not try to jump out at me, or if I can even peer deeper just to understand it better.
All right. So, so let's see. Burlo will investigate the body, and Xander will go this way. So, in order. Burlo kneels before the corpse of a fallen knight, and he calls out to Xander, it's another one of ours. He inspects the body. We weren't able to excavate all of the bodies, especially after the cave-in. He pulls out a little small satchel, and he says, looks like there's still some thunderstones left in here. We could use these.
Thunderstones? I would like to inspect those later.
All right.
Alrighty, what does Xander find?
All right. Xander, he says there's more broken earth here and a couple of these dead vermin. He kind of kicks aside one of the bodies that are in his way. I can't see beyond this corridor here. There's some sort of fog blocking my vision.
I look over to Xander before I decide to investigate the crack. And I say, do not disturb the bodies. You could do more harm than good, especially now that they're dead.
Yeah, Xander disregards you, and he actually spits on it too. He says, "It's like, to hell's with these vermin. It's like these bastards deserve no rest, even in death."
He sighs and shakes his head. She's like, he reminds him of an old ally of his who was just as equally hard-headed.
So,
all right, I want to investigate the crack.
Anyway, you investigate the crack. Do a nature.
Ooh, nature. Nature 42.
All right. So.
Fuck yeah.
All right. So, you understand that the spirits, they tend to invoke natural things, so animals, forces of nature, flora, fauna, all that stuff. When you peer into the crack, you can see kind of a narrow profile of something that tunnels with two sets of claws. You discern that it's some sort of burrowing creature that lives in caves. Your best bet is some sort of tunneling rodent, perhaps a mole.
Burlo, Xander, check the bodies for how they died. Are there claw marks on their corpses?
The bodies here are obscured nebulae, so they've been stabbed, shot, and a bunch of other things. Burla says, this body, what a state. The skin's gone black and bubbling. What is this?
Back away, Burlo. Now.
It's like he backs away and nothing happens. I think there's something past him.
I will investigate it myself.
All right. He holds the lamp to your back, giving you sight.
Shit.
You stare past the rocks that are in your way. You notice that at the base of the rocks, there's like these grinding marks, as if the stones were moved into position here, blocking this passage. You step over the carcass of the man. The knight looks like he's covered with several fang-like incisions all over his body, from some very tiny things that have managed to get under his armor, and you deduce that it has to have been some sort of swarm vermin, perhaps several spiders crawled all the way up and down him and just injected them with their venom until he was dead. Beyond, at the top of the rocks where the light breaches, there is a crossbow still laid over the rocks, and it's still left there as if the man was slain after loosing a bolt. You see that at the on the other side there is 2 Sverdnevli corpses. It seems like a larger one holding and shielding a smaller one in its arms.
You gotta do this in there. All right. Don't humanize the Sverdnevlin. They're the enemy.
You
Don't
can hear
humanize them.
skittering
Oh,
on the opposite side.
Just I want to see if I might be able to retrieve that crossbow without any danger.
It feels like the skittering intensifies as you come closer.
Okay.
You can try to be stealthy and try to reach for it if you'd like.
What are the 2 pillars that are in my way? What are those, like natural pillars? They're like stone.
They're just very large rocks that seem like, according to the grind marks you see along the ground, have been kind of like moved into position to block this area.
I don't particularly care for crossbows, but are there bolts nearby? Is there ammunition nearby as well?
Just pat down the corpse. Looks like he had just 3 left on him.
I'm gonna try and stealth to try and pick up the crossbow and pull it out.
All right, so go ahead, do a stealth.
Oh god, my stealth is not wonderful. All right, well if I'm gonna roll high, now's the time to do it. 23.
Reaching towards the crossbow, and you can kind of see past. Again, there's still the slumped over bodies of them. You notice that the mother is shielding her child, and you can see a crack behind it in the wall, and out of the crack you see several tiny yellow orbs and a loud skittering.
Oh fuck. Okay. That's not good. All right.
Several large spiders erupt from the hole. You will grab the crossbow and flinch back just in the nick of time. One of the stray spiders leap out and attempt to plant its fangs into you.
Oh dear.
This is against your reflex. Spiders with very ornate looking patterns all across their bodies, and they bite you, causing searing, horrible pain. And as soon as they finish biting you, they dissipate into wisps of smoke.
Oh, they're spirit spiders.
So you've acquired a pretty handy crossbow, as soon as you pass the threshold, though, the spiders, they seem to dance on the wall for a little bit, but then they retreat back. It seems like they guard just that room.
All right, that's fine. I walk back and I throw below the crossbow as I kind of lurch forward, and it says, "Whatever you do, don't go past the body. The guardian spirits here are not happy."
Oh, you don't have to tell me twice, he agrees.
Yeah.
What happened? What did you see in there?
Corpses and angry spirits. You need know nothing more. All right, now Berlo can stay back and give us some ranged cover in case we start running into more nasty shit. I don't care to attack guardian spirits. That's definitely against my memo.
Berlo slings it to his back, and he says, I have your back. On the eastern side, there's a large boulder. It seems to be blocking a tunnel that leads further downward. On the left side, on the southwestern side, you see this mysterious fog that's billowing and kind of emanating upwards from a deeper part of the caves. Okay.
I'm doing an Arcana check, try and figure out this shit.
All right. So go ahead, do an Arcana, please.
25.
You're worried about traversing it because it feels cold to the touch, but it feels like the source of the angry energy is coming from further into the fog.
All right. Can I commune with this angry, evil energy?
Oh, okay. Attempt to speak with the spirits. What do you say?
I call out to the spirits. I call out to the fog, or call out raise my staff up high. Spirit of the fog, if that is what you are you a guardian of this cave?
Yes.
We mean not to trespass on your hallowed grounds. We simply wish to seek out that which disrupts the natural balance of this place.
Hallowed Sorry, Xander somewhat interrupts you as like, hallowed ground, this is our home.
I turn back and I go, shh. All right. And I turn back to the spirit and I say to him, we seek that which wishes to throw this place out of balance. Is a dark spirit. Can you guide us? I'm basically trying to see, like, I'm trying to tell him we're not bad guys. We're not here to, like, step on your shit. We're here to find the source of the evil serpent and shaman spirit. And I was wondering if he might be able to point us in the right direction.
Further down.
He says, we bear you no ill will, spirit. If you would just allow us to pass, then we will restore the balance of this place and leave you be.
What is it? The fog seems to invite you and starts to kind of retreat backwards.
Through the fog.
Yeah.
Okay. With an insight check, can I determine if the fog is malicious?
You can't insight check an inanimate object.
I want to insight check the fog. Send that to out of context D&D. All right, I go first.
All right, so you enter this
not?
mysterious fog, and you can almost, your sight is peeled away. It's almost as if you can't even see in front of you. As you're walking, there's still the footsteps behind you of Xander and Burlo. Their footsteps rhythmic and metallic upon the stone. The sound starts to echo, and as you're walking, you can hear the sound of the metal changing, and upon your hands, you're seeing chains. You're walking in unison, and you see the one in front of you. There's another person slumped over, also wearing chains. Wherever you are, there's an entire line of people. You are basically like in formation. Your arms are chained and your legs are chained, and you're walking in unison. It's like as if the sound kind of faded into this other sound in this other vision that you're seeing.
Okay. Before I want to close my eyes and try to determine if this is an illusion.
Oh, what would that be? Just do a wisdom check.
It's like, I want to try and block out my senses because that's how illusions work. And I want to see if I can feel like, am I still myself? Am I being controlled? What's the dealio here? Wisdom. Here we go. My wisdom is many. 27.
All right. This is not a trickery. When you entered the fog, your spiritual affinity is allowing you a almost like a shared experience for a moment. And you're seeing through something else's eyes, a remnant dream. So you can act freely in this experience right now. What are you doing? You're in like a chain of, you're like one of people in a chain right now.
Do I recognize any of the people I'm walking beside of?
So the ones before you, they look like some sort of almost like hunched over gray skin type of creature with long pointed ears on both sides of you.
Do I recognize what race of creatures he's come from?
There's Verdnebly. You look at your hands, and the skin is also like
so I'm
gray
also,
and fleshy, and
you have the eyes of another Verdnebly.
You have larger claws, though. Like they extend out at least 2 inches from your hands. And when you look at your hands, you see on your wrist, on kind of like on your forearm, there is a brand on it, in the mark of a spider.
Do I recognize this mark?
Do a history.
Is it history or religion?
History or either one. I'll allow either one.
Okay. And I'm gonna do a religion check just because. I want to see if this belongs to any sect or cult or 21.
21. You're unable to figure it out. It looks like some sort of what was it? It looks like some sort of was it some sort of religious symbol that's used to brand slaves.
Oh, really interesting.
Everywhere around you, it is dark, and the only lights you see are these floating green fires that very poorly illuminate the area. You're torn from this vision when a gauntleted hand grabs your shoulder, and the rhythmic tapping returns, but it's back to the sound of the boots again. Xander kind of grabs you and he says, "Karus," and wakes you up. You return back to your own sight again, and turns out you were just walking down the path the whole time. The fog is now billowing, and it's only at your about knee height. What's wrong?
I look back and it says, I had a vision
Of what?
of the past.
All right.
I look forward and I say, just be wary. The place we go to, the place that lies beyond us, has much death, and the spirits that linger here are angry. I mean, I know I've said that, but I mean, it's getting worse. I feel like I'm in that one episode, like that one part of Lord of the Rings when Aragorn and the party goes inside the caves, and they're all like, I literally feel like this is that episode where we're walking through the knee-high spirit fog, and just spirit's gonna come out and start attacking us any second now. I just feel it. I can feel it.
He says, "Don't doze off on me," Xander says. You're like, it's almost like for a moment he cares how you're feeling, and then he adds to the end, "You're our guide. I don't know what to do down here."
I'll give you a hint. Don't die.
It's like good life advice.
Alrighty.